But the real stimulus comes from doing the right form in the right muscle with the right amount of tension. So it doesn't matter if you're doing 315, if you're doing 405, if you're bouncing it off your chest, you'll get a better workout doing 225, pausing, 3-second eccentric, doing all the real stuff that's gonna actually make you put tension in the muscle. You have to be disciplined with your training. There's working out and then there's training. Training is intentional, it's systemic, there's a system behind it, it's a process. Working out is what people do. Most people do, they just take an exercise that they're gonna just kind of do that day. They don't jot the numbers down, they don't look for the progressive overload, they don't have any sort of system behind it, and they change it week to week. So how do you compare progress when you're not keeping the variable constant? You can't. So hey guys, IFBB Pro Bernardo Costa here. So just wanted to expand a little bit on the mind-muscle connection, kind of talk about why it's so important to do that, especially in a situation like this where you have to get really creative. When we're trying to bodybuild, we're trying to target a specific part of our body. So the first priority is actually feeling that part of our body, and that's kind of where the mind and muscle connection goes hand in hand. So when you're trying to get creative, and there's situations like this where you're limited on your equipment and what you can do, you have to simply look at and analyze, okay, what am I trying to target? And you find the proper angle on what that is. The thing. So they say that, the larger distance that you have to go through a range of motion, being a taller person, generally each set will fatigue you more. So like for me being a tall person, I might not be able to do the same amount of sets as someone who's doing, who's like 5'4", 5'6", and they can maybe recover from 20 sets in a week. Whereas I might be able to only recover from 13 or 14 sets in a week, just because each one of those sets is so much more fatiguing. Since the distance is greater, there's more time under tension. So those are the things you have to take into consideration. So for example, on one of my push days, if I'm supposed to do an incline bench press, and I don't have access to that, I can elevate my feet and do a foot elevated push-up, right? So I'm putting my body in the same angle as an incline pressing motion, but I'm simply doing it in a downwards way, right? In a downwards direction. So we're still eliciting the same response from the same area, but we're just doing it in a different way. And as long as you're still feeling it in the same spot, in some cases you might even feel it a little bit better because it's a novel exercise. You end up getting a very similar effect to the gym, and that ends up allowing you to make progress, at the very least maintain in a situation where you're limited. But the real stimulus comes from doing the right form in the right muscle with the right amount of tension. So it doesn't matter if you're doing 315, if you're doing 405, if you're bouncing it off your chest, you'll get a better workout doing 225, pausing, 3-second eccentric, doing all the real stuff that's gonna actually make you put tension in the muscle. Exactly, so my coach, he basically makes a Excel sheet with my whole, what we call a mesocycle. So a mesocycle is a period of time, usually for us, we're doing a 5-to-1 paradigm, meaning that we're doing 5 weeks of an accumulation phase where we accumulate our volume upwards, and then we do a 1 week, what we call a deload, where we're basically halving our volume, decreasing the workload, and kind of dissipating that accumulated fatigue that we had throughout those 5 weeks that we're doing. So this is about the 3rd week. Right now, I'm taking everything to about 2 RIR, which means reps in the reserve. So I'm leaving about 2 reps in the reserve, shy of failure. These last 2 sets, probably a little more like 1. But that's another thing with discipline. You have to be disciplined with your training. There's working out and then there's training. Training is intentional, it's systemic, there's a system behind it, it's a process. Working out is what people do. Most people do, they just pick an exercise that they're gonna just kind of do that day. They don't jot the numbers down, they don't look for the progressive overload, they don't have any sort of system behind it, and they change it week to week. So how do you compare progress when you're not keeping the variable constant? You can't. So you're just resting as long as you need to be able to get at least another like 10 or 15 more, not have a significant drop off in performance. So really important to time yourself. About 15 seconds left. This is the one where you get tempted to take a lot longer of a break than you should. The whole purpose of this is push that blood into those triceps. Yep.